Let us start, Prabhu. Yeah, begin.
Okay, Prabhu. So I'll start with Jai Radha Madhav. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mukta Sangha Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity to serve all of you today. So today we are having session 4 of Shri Krishna's Govardhan Dharan Leela. Shri Govinda lifts Govardhan. Let us begin by chanting Mangalacharan prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahamadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Kuse Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, last time we covered up to verse number 5. So today we will start with verse number 6 of the 24th chapter of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is entitled Worshipping Shri Govardhan Hill. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So verse number 6. Krishna is speaking to his father, Nanda Maharaj. In the first 5 verses, we discussed how one day when Shri Krishna was 7 years old, he noticed that his father, all the elder Gopas, all the Brajvasis, they are extremely busy preparing for some yajna, some puja. Krishna, although he knows everything, along with his friends, along with Baldev, he went to his father and all the elder Gopas who are with Nanda Maharaj, and he starts inquiring from them, what is going on? What is this great endeavor? Who is it meant for? How is it going to be performed? What is the fruit of doing this endeavor? How is it going to be accomplished? All these questions, one after the other, Krishna is asking. And Krishna's questions are still continuing. So, Krishna is requesting his father to tell him everything. And now let's see what Krishna says in verse number 6. Nyatva nyatva cha karmani janoyam anutishtati vidushaha karma siddhisyad yathana vidusho bhavet. Nyatva, understanding, adnyatva, not understanding, cha, also, karmani, activities, janaha, the common people, ayam, these, anutishtati, perform, vidushaha, for one who is wise, karma siddhi, achievement of the intended goal of activity, syat, arises, yatha, as, na, not, avidushaha, for one who is foolish, bhavet. Translations and purports by the humble disciples of our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. When people in this world perform activities, sometimes they understand what they are doing and sometimes they don't. Those who know what they are doing achieve success in their work, whereas ignorant people do not. This is Krishna's statement to Nanda Maharaj. I'll read the translation again. It's very nice. Krishna is telling Nanda Baba, when people in this world perform activities, sometimes they understand what they are doing and sometimes they don't understand. Those who know what they are doing achieve success in their work, whereas ignorant people do not achieve success in their work. Shri Krishna is saying. Now let us see what our acharyas have to say to this. We will incorporate the purports in the commentaries. So Sanatan Goswami says in response to verse number 6 that Krishna is telling Nanda Baba, Baba, I am your son. I am also part of this puja because you are conducting this puja and I am your son. So being your family member, being your intimate associate, I am also part of this great endeavor, this great puja that is going on here. I am also part of this puja. If I don't have a proper understanding, how will I get the results? Therefore, please tell me everything. So Krishna is making a statement in the verse that we must understand what we are doing. Only then we will get the fruits. If we do something without understanding how it is done, why it is being done, what is the purpose, who it is meant for, then we will not get the proper results. So we must do things with proper understanding, Krishna is saying. And the implied meaning Sanatana Goswami is giving, that Nanda Baba, I am your son. So I am also part of this puja. So it is imperative that I also understand what is going on here, because I am part of this. Because if I don't understand, then I will not get the fruits. I will not get success. That is Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Then let's go to see what Srila Jiva Goswami says. Jiva Goswami says that Krishna is giving an implied meaning to Sri Nanda Baba, and Krishna is wanting to tell his father that, Baba, you are a farmer, and you know that in agriculture we get crops only when we sow the seeds, we plow, we till the land, we water it, and when the crops are ready, we harvest. So all this has to be done with proper knowledge. There is a proper season for different crops to be sowed. Before that, we have to plow the land to make it fertile. After we sow the seeds, there has to be irrigation. We have to give water, or there has to be a rain. And then the crops grow. We protect the crops from weeds and other things. And when the crops are ready, then we harvest the crops. So all this has to be done with proper knowledge. All this has to be done with proper knowledge. Otherwise, we will not be successful in agriculture. Krishna is telling his father. This implied conversation, this implied very beautiful interactions that are happening between Nanda Baba and Krishna are being told to us by Srila Jiva Goswami. And therefore, in conclusion, Jiva Goswami comments that Krishna is saying, therefore, please give me full knowledge of what is going on. Now, let us see what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in response to verse number 6. Chakravarti Path says that thorough understanding can only take place after friendly and open discussion. Only then we can get thorough understanding. Therefore, because I am a friend to you, I am your son, I am dear to you, please discuss with me. Tell me what is going on. Because I don't want to be a blind follower. You see, Krishna is saying, Nanda Baba, you see, I am your son. And this is a tradition that you are doing. You are carrying out this particular puja. So being your son, it is understood that in the future, this great endeavor that you are doing, whatever it is, will have to be done by me, being your son. So Baba, please, if you don't explain to me what this is, in the future, how will I perform this great endeavor that you are performing, this great puja, this great yajna that you are performing? So in this way, through so many sweet questions, Nanda Baba, his heart is just melting with each question, with each point that Krishna is raising. Nanda Maharaj is just completely mesmerized by Krishna's innocence, Krishna's sincerity in finding out what is going on. How can Nanda Maharaj resist? How can he not tell such a sweet little darling child as Krishna when he's saying so many things? Tell me everything. Otherwise, how in the future I will do this when I grow up? Little 7-year-old Krishna is asking in his very, very innocent voice all these questions. So, then we go to verse number 7, and then we will discuss quickly what are the questions that Krishna has asked Nanda Baba. So now let's go to verse number 7, my dear friends. So verse number 7, Krishna is continuing speaking to Nanda Baba. Tatra tavat kriya yogo bhavatam kim vicharitah athava laukikastanme prichatah sadhu bhanyatam. Tatra tavat. That being the case, kriya yoga, this fruitive endeavor, bhavatam, of yours, kim, whether, vicharitah, learned from the scriptures, athava, or else laukika, of ordinary custom, tat, that, may, to me, prichatah, who am inquiring, sadhu, clearly, bhanyatam, it should be explained. Translation. Krishna is telling Nanda Baba, such being the case, this ritualistic endeavor of yours should be clearly explained to me. Is it a ceremony based on scriptural injunctions, or is it simply a custom of ordinary society? Krishna is asking. So vichar ritaha means, is it based on some shastra vichar? Is it based on some scriptures? Or is it athva laukika? Or is it just a local traditional custom that we are following? Please tell me, answer all these questions. So now let us see, let us summarize what all these questions have been asked by Shri Krishna to Nanda Baba so far. So going back, Krishna's first question was, what is this great endeavor? That was the opening question when Krishna came. What is all this Sambrahma? What is all this great endeavor? What is keeping all of you so busy? Krishna's second question was, what will this great endeavor accomplish? Third question was, for whose satisfaction is all this meant for? Who is the enjoyer? Question number 4, how is it going to be performed? What is the vidhi? How is it going to be performed? And question number 5 was in this verse that we just read. Is this based on scriptures, or is it just a social custom? So after saying this, Krishna stops his questions. So now before we go to verse number 8, let us analyze what our acharyas have commented on verse number 7. In verse number 6, I included the purport in our discussion, and verse number 7 does not have a purport. So now let's see what the acharyas have to say. To verse number 7, Srila Sanatana Goswami says, Krishna is thinking to himself. Krishna is thinking to himself. If this Indra Puja is based on Shastra Vichar, if it is based on scriptures, then I will make my father give it up based on Shastra. I will quote from such Shastra that Nanda Baba will be convinced not to perform this Indra Puja. Krishna knows what is happening. He knows it is Indra Puja. And then Krishna is thinking, and if this great yajna, this great endeavor that my father and all my uncles and all my Brajvasi friends, his parents, they are doing, if it is based on just a social custom, then based on some social customs and social traditions and some social observations, I will give such arguments that Nanda Baba will not perform this Indra Puja. Krishna is thinking like this. Sanatana Goswami is describing. Then, Srila Jiva Goswami, what does he say to verse number 7? He says, actually, in this verse, you see, and in the preceding verses, Krishna is talking like a very learned fellow. He's only 7 years old. He's only taking little calves for grazing in the forest. He's playing all these childish games with his friends. But look at him, how he's talking. He's talking like a very learned person. So, Srila Jiva Goswami is saying that Krishna is speaking to Nanda Baba in such a learned way, as if he's a very learned man, so that Nanda Baba will take him seriously and answer his questions nicely. Therefore, Krishna is asking not one question, but so many intelligent questions and making so many points. I am your well-wisher, so you should tell me those who are udasin, those who are indifferent. You may not tell them, they are like enemies, but I am your friend. Tell me, I should understand. How will I do it in the future if you don't tell me? Don't tell me in brief. Sadhu, tell me in detail, very clearly. In all these statements, Krishna is making all these questions, Krishna is asking, so that Nanda Baba will take him seriously. Our Jiva Goswami is saying. Now let us see what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying in response to verse number 7. He is saying that, you see, in the previous verse, Krishna had said, is this like some, give me all the knowledge about what is going on. I need to know full knowledge, because unless we have knowledge, we cannot get success in our endeavors. There are two types of people. Some do their activities without understanding and they are not successful. And some do it with proper understanding and they are successful. Therefore, knowledge is very important. Krishna spoke in the previous verse. So Chakravarti Pad is saying that Krishna anticipated that Nanda Baba is going to say that yes, this is all based on knowledge. Whatever yajna we are doing, it is based on knowledge. So therefore, anticipating this answer from Nanda Baba that this is, yes, it is based on knowledge, Krishna is asking a question that, okay, this is based on knowledge, but is this knowledge based on Shastra, based on scriptures, or is it based on some laukik, some local tradition, local custom? That's why Krishna is asking this question. So very beautiful comments by our acharyas. Now let us go to verse number 8. Verse number 8. Now Krishna has stopped speaking, my dear friends. Krishna has completed all his enquiries, and now Nanda Baba is going to reply. So many Gopas were there, older Gopas, but they did not speak. Why? Because Krishna, in his questions, he was looking at everybody, all the older Gopas, but he was also mainly looking at Nanda Baba. And in his questions, we must have noticed, Krishna used words like Pita, oh my dear father. Therefore, now Nanda Baba is going to speak. And Nanda Baba is, he is Vrajesh, he is the king of Vraja. So as a representative of all the older Gopas, all the leaders of the village, he is going to speak as the representative. So therefore, in verse number 8, our Shukdev Goswami says, Shri Nanda Uvacha Parjanyo Bhagavan Indro Meghas Tasyatma Murtayaha Tebhi Varshanti Bhutanam Prinanam Jivanam Payaha. Translation, word to word. Shri Nanda Uvacha. Shri Nanda Maharaj said, Parjanya, the rain, Bhagavan, the great Lord, Indra, Megha, the clouds, Tasya, his, Atma Murtaya, personal representatives, they, Abhivarshanti, directly give rain, Bhutanam, for all living entities, Prinanam, the gratification, Jivanam, the life-giving force, Payaha, like milk. Translation. Shri Nanda Maharaj replied to Lord Shri Krishna, the great Lord Indra is the controller of the rains. The clouds are his personal representatives, and they directly provide rainwater, which gives happiness and sustenance to all the creatures. So now, let us see what our acharyas have to say. Because here Krishna is, Nanda Maharaj is explaining to Krishna that without clear rainwater, the earth could not provide food or drink for anyone. There would be no cleanliness. Therefore, rain is very valuable, and this rain is given by Indra. So now let's see what our acharyas have to comment on verse number 8. Hare Krishna. So verse number 8, first we go to Sanatana Goswami. So we are basically primarily studying three commentaries. Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Vaishnava Toshani, Jiva Goswami's Laghu Vaishnava Toshani, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, Sarartha Darshani, Tika. So because Sanatana Goswami is the eldest, first we'll take his commentary, then Jiva Goswami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur came a few generations later. So then last we will take Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So verse number 8, Sanatana Goswami Pad. He's saying, Nanda Baba is calling Indra as Bhagwan. See how the verse begins? Parjanyo Bhagavan Indro. Nanda Baba, in front of Shri Krishna, who is Bhagwan, is calling Indra Bhagwan. See, if we go back, everywhere Krishna is referred to as Bhagwan. In verse number 2 of this chapter, text number 2, it is said, Tat abhignyopi Bhagavan sarvatma sarvadarshana. Krishna is referred to as Bhagwan, Sarvatma, Abhigyo, Sarvadarshana. He sees everything. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagwan. He knows everything, Abhignya. So Krishna is Bhagwan. Even in Bhagavad Gita, even in Srimad Bhagavatam, whenever Krishna speaks, it is Shri Bhagwan Uvach. And here, Krishna's own father, Nanda Baba, in front of Krishna, is addressing Indra as Bhagwan. Just see, Sanatana Goswami is telling us, just wonder, look at this, what Krishna must be feeling. In front of the original Bhagwan, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, this Nanda Baba is calling Indra as Bhagwan. So therefore, this is a great irony, Sanatana Goswami is saying. And Krishna is going to address this issue very soon. Then, Jiva Goswami says, Nanda Baba is giving knowledge to Krishna from his own Bhagavad Gita. See, what Nanda Baba is telling Krishna, Parjanyo Bhagwan Indro, Meghas Tasyatma Murtayah, Tebhi Varshanti Bhutanam, Prinanam Jivanam Payah. It is Indra, whose representatives are clouds, which give us rain, and because of this rain, there is growth of anna, all the food grains, which sustain us. Nanda Baba is telling Krishna. Krishna is thinking, Jiva Goswami is saying, Are Nanda Baba, what are you telling me? This is my Bhagavad Gita knowledge. In Bhagavad Gita, don't you know I have said, because Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is going to speak in the future to Arjun, many years later. But Bhagavad Gita is eternal. It is Krishna's transcendental knowledge. Krishna had spoken at the beginning of creation to Vivaswan, the sun god. Imam Vivasvate Yoga. So Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's own instructions, Krishna's own words. And Jiva Goswami is saying that here Nanda Baba is giving Krishna's own knowledge to him by saying that there's all this Parjanya, this and that. So Krishna is thinking, Are Baba, dear Nanda Baba, in Bhagavad Gita I have spoken now that Annad Bhavati Bhutani, Parjanyad Anna Sambhava, Yajnad Bhavati Parjanyo, Yajna Karma Samudbhava, that from Anna, all the living entities can survive because of Anna. This Anna is produced because of Parjanya. Parjanya is rain. Parjanya is also a name of Indradev. So by rain, the crops grow and we get Anna. Anna maintains the living entities. And how does rain happen? Yajna Bhavati Parjanya. It is through Yajna that the rains come. And then Krishna says that Yajna Karma Samudbhava. And how is Yajna? Yajna is performed through our karma. Yajna is performed through our karma. That is Yajna. And what is the greatest Yajna for Kali Yuga that we should all perform? It should be our karma. What we should do in Kali Yuga? It is Nam Sankirtan. Kritya Dhyayato Vishnum Tretaya Mirato Makhay Dvapare Paricharyayam Kalau Tadhari Kirtana. The only Yajna in Kali Yuga is Kirtan. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Akrishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yajna Sankirtana Praya Yajantihi Sumedasa. 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation is predicted by the Navayogendras to Maharaj Nimi. And here it is said that Nam Sankirtan Yajna he will inaugurate. Nama Sankirtan Arambhe Bhavishyami Sachi Sutta Swarnaditi Rama Asthaya Navadvipe Janashraye. Even in Vayu Puran, this prediction is made that Nama Sankirtan Arambhe, to inaugurate the Nam Sankirtan Yajna, Bhavishyami, in the future, Sachi Sutta. Sachi Mata's son will come, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swarnaditi Rama Asthaya. On the banks of Mother Ganga, Navadvipe Janashraya. He will appear in the town of Navadvip. So in the Puranas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name, Sachisuta, what he will do, Nama Sankirtan Arambha, he will inaugurate the Nama Sankirtan movement. Where he will have his pastimes on the bank of Ganga. And what will be the name of his village? Navadvip. All these 4 details are mentioned in our Puranas. So we should never doubt that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sakshat Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, our Krishna is very amused that his own knowledge, his own father is giving to him. It's very, very interesting. So here, we are reminded of a very valuable lesson from the life of Srila Prabhupada. We are seeing how Nanda Maharaj is giving Krishna's own knowledge back to him. And Krishna is he's very amused. He's just standing and listening patiently. There is a very nice incident in the life of Srila Prabhupada, which should give all of us a great lesson. And I personally find this very, very instructive. Once our beloved founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, was visiting one of our ISKCON temples. He used to travel. He would stay in one place for 3-4 days and then go to the next temple. He had to manage this international society for Krishna consciousness all by himself. He was doing it. He was supreme authority, managing everything. So to inspire devotees, to engage them, to guide them, he was traveling, even at his advanced age with all his medical problems. So Srila Prabhupada came to a particular temple. And his books, he was writing books at night. In the daytime, he was giving lectures, guiding devotees, chanting japa, praying for the whole world. This was the life of Srila Prabhupada. And he comes to one particular temple, ISKCON temple. And he gave a nice Bhagavatam class. The darshan was open, beautiful deities that Srila Prabhupada had installed. He gave Bhagavatam class from Srimad Bhagavatam that he had translated. And he had commented on by his Bhaktivedanta purports. And he was speaking to disciples who were all American boys and girls who knew nothing about Krishna. They were breaking all the 4 regulative principles. And Srila Prabhupada saved them, gave them all knowledge, gave them initiation, gave them dhoti kurta, saris to wear, kanthimala, gopi chandan tilak, Brahmin thread. Everything Srila Prabhupada gave them. Made them who they are. And now Prabhupada has come to inspire them, to teach them. And he's giving a class, he finishes the class, question answers are over, and Prabhupada is sitting giving darshan and just talking informally. The darshan is still open. Prabhupada is talking about Krishna, giving them instructions, advice. And the pujari brings the Mahaprasad offering of the deities. And he brings them in a nice plate. There are nice different rasgullas and gulab jamuns. And he comes and he offers the Mahaprasad. The deities have just enjoyed. And the pujari comes and brings that tray of Mahaprasad and keeps it in front of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada very gratefully thanks the pujari and honors the Mahaprasad by taking one piece and accepting it, honoring it by eating. So prasadanna dilo bhai. Very, very tasty, nice Krishna Prasad he accepts, and then he starts distributing to all the assembled devotees. So they can also honor the Mahaprasad of Bhagavan. And there was one devotee who was sitting there, and he had just read and heard from the nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And he had read that in front of the deities, one should not eat. It is an offense to eat in front of the deities. You should always, put the curtain, or when darshan is closed, you can eat, or go to another room and eat. So he's seeing that the deities are still giving darshan. Darshan is open. And Srila Prabhupada is eating in front of the deities. And he's giving the devotees also to eat in front of the deities. So this devotee, he had the audacity to correct Srila Prabhupada. He corrected Srila Prabhupada in front of the deities in front of all the assembled Vaishnavas. He corrected the founder Acharya. He corrected His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, we are not supposed to eat in front of the deities. Srila Prabhupada, this devotee did not even know about Krishna a few months ago. And Srila Prabhupada has brought him to Krishna consciousness. Chakshudan dilo jai janme janme Prabhu se. Srila Prabhupada has given him transcendental vision to see Radha and Krishna, to read Srimad Bhagavatam, to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra on Tulsi beads, chant the Gayatri Mantra. Everything Srila Prabhupada has given. And now he is correcting Srila Prabhupada in front of everyone. Prabhupada, we are not supposed to eat in front of the deities. This is wrong. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada did not take it in an offensive way. Srila Prabhupada smiled and very nicely explained to this devotee that actually there are two ways of looking at it. What you are saying is right. One should not eat in front of deities. But there is a higher principle. Because there are many principles in spiritual life. We have to see what is the highest principle. So this devotee was talking about a principle. Yes, we should not eat in front of deities. But Srila Prabhupada very lovingly explained that there is a higher principle. What is the higher principle? Srila Prabhupada said that when Krishna through the pujari is sending you his Mahaprasad, you should not make the Mahaprasad wait, because Mahaprasad is non-different from Krishna. It is non-different from Krishna. It is Krishna's Mahaprasad. You should not make Mahaprasad wait. You should immediately honor it. And Srila Prabhupada quoted from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 11, entitled The Beda Kirtan Pastimes, verse number 111 onwards. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 11, entitled The Beda Kirtan Pastimes, verse number 111 onwards. Srila Prabhupada quoted this to this devotee to explain to him. So here it is mentioned that Sri Prataparudra Maharaj, he is watching along with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Gopinath Acharya the meeting of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with all the devotees who have come for 4 months of Chaturmas to Jagannath Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has just come back from the South India Yatra. And then Kala Krishnadas has been sent from Jagannath Puri to Navadvip to give a message to Sachimata, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur and all the devotees that Mahaprabhu has come back from South India Yatra. Now please come to meet him, to be with him. So Kala Krishnadas goes, he informs all the devotees, and all the devotees, they get ready along with Shivananda Sen. 200 devotees from Navadvip, they come to Jagannath Puri. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from his Gambhira, from the house of Kashi Mishra, he has come along with Sarup Damodar Goswami, his servant Govinda. And they have come to meet all these devotees. Nityananda Prabhu is there, Haridas Thakur is there, Srivas Thakur is there, Advaita Acharya is there. All the devotees, Shivananda Sen, Murari Gup, Kolavecha Sridhar, they have all come from Navadvip. And Mahaprabhu is coming to meet them. And standing on the terrace of his palace, Maharaj Prataparudra is watching this great scene. And he is asking Gopinath Acharya, tell me, who is who, tell me. Who is Advaita Prabhu, who is Haridas Thakur, who is Srivas Thakur, tell me everything. And Gopinath Acharya is telling Maharaj Prataparudra everything. So then Maharaj Prataparudra says, but there is a tradition that when you come to a dham like Jagannath Puri Dham, one has to fast. But these devotees are eating Mahaprasad with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They have just arrived. They have not even taken their bath after coming to the dham. The custom is one should not eat anything after coming to a dham before taking darshan of the presiding deity. So you have come to Jagannath Puri Dham without taking darshan of Sri Jagannath. How can you eat prasad? How can you break your fast? So Maharaj Prataparudra is asking Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya all these doubts, teaching us a lesson that when we have some doubts, we should not keep them in our heart. Because then what happens is, it starts fermenting. What happens if you keep rice or grains just like that, put them in some water and just keep them like that? They will ferment. They will ferment. So similarly, they will become sour. So similarly, if we have doubts and we just keep them, we keep holding them in our heart, we don't get them reconciled or clarified, then they make the relationship sour. They can destroy the relationship. Therefore, it is very essential when we have doubts, we must go to a mature source, a mature person, and get them clarified, get them reconciled. Maharaj Prataparudra went to the most mature person, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and asked all these doubts. Instead of having these doubts about Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu's devotees, better to get them clarified. So he asks. So here it is said, verse number 111. Raja ko hai upavas kshaura tirthera vidhan tahana kariya kene khaiba annapam. Prabhupada was asking, O Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, why have the devotees not observed the regulation of visiting the pilgrimage place, such as fasting, shaving, etc., etc.? Upavas, kshaura, tirthera vidhan. These are the rules and regulations of visiting a tirtha sthali. And khaiba annapan, they are eating as soon as they have come. This is bewildering. Verse number 112. भट्ट कोहे तुम्ही ये कहा सेई विधि धर्म एई रागम मार्गे अच्छे सूक्ष्म धर्म मर्म. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told the king that what you have said is right according to Vidhi Marga. There are two processes. There is Vidhi Marga and there is Bhagavad Marga. Both are important. So Bhattacharya is explaining to the king, explaining that, yes, my dear king, what you are saying is correct according to Vidhi Marga. But there is another way. There is another path, and that is Raga Marga. Ei Raga Marge Ache Sukshma Dharma Marma. And this Rag Marg is very, very subtle. The principles of this Raganuga Bhakti is very subtle. Ishwarera Paroksha Adnya Kshaura Uposhana Prabhura Sakshad Adnya Prasada Bhojana. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explains to Maharaj Prataparudra the scriptural injunctions for shaving when you go to a holy place and fasting when you go to a holy place are indirect orders of Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are paroksha adnya, indirect instructions. But what is sakshad adnya? Prasada bhojana. Sakshad adnya is the direct order from the Lord is to take prasadam. Naturally, the devotees take prasadam as their first duty. What is wrong in that? Bhattacharya is explaining. Taha upavasa yaha nahi mahaprasad Prabhu satyage haya aparad. When Mahaprasad is not available, then fasting. But when the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly orders one to take prasad, neglecting this prasad is aparad, is an offense. Like that, Srila Prabhupada very nicely explained to his disciple that here the deities have just enjoyed the rasgullas and gulab jamuns. The pujari has offered, and after the offering has been removed, the pujari is feeling inspired to give the Mahaprasad to his spiritual master and all the assembled devotees. So very selflessly he has come and he is giving. So why should we make Krishna wait? Why should we make Krishna's Mahaprasad wait? Therefore I am eating. So just see Srila Prabhupada's humility. Such deep humility Srila Prabhupada had. He was so unassuming, so patient, so tolerant. And ultimately all these qualities can be seen in our beloved Krishna. Shri Krishna Bhagwan. He is a source of all good qualities. He is a source of all humility, ultimately. So just see. Krishna is tolerating so much. He is amused. His father is giving his own Bhagavad Gita philosophy to him and using it against him. He is telling Bhagwan that Indra is Bhagwan. Of course, this is just a Leela. Nanda Maharaj is a liberated Nitya Siddha Bhakta of Shri Krishna. This is Leela to teach us. Then, what does Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur say in response to verse number 8? Chakravarti Path says that in the previous verse, Shri Krishna asked Nanda Baba, tell me frankly, is this based on Shastra or is it based on local custom? So Nanda Maharaj very upfront is giving the answer here that Baba, my dear child, this is based on a tradition. It is not based on Shastra. Indra Puja is not based on Shastra, it is based on tradition. Now, in this regard, there is one more thing I wanted to mention, a very instructive story that happened in one of the temples in our North America. Again, I will not name anything or anyone, but this is very instructive. We talked about the different dharmas. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explaining Maharaj Prataprudra that there are different levels of dharma. And we should try to seek the highest dharma. Savai pumsa paro dharma yatho bhakti radhokshaja ahay tuki apratihata yatma suprasida. What will please Krishna? How can I serve Krishna? Bhakti radhokshaja. That is the supreme dharma. So there are different levels of dharma, my dear friends. And we have to develop the maturity to make the right choice, to choose the highest good. So there is one incident that happened many years ago. This was few years after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance from this world. One sannyasi, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who was one of the leaders in our movement, one Maharaj, he came to one of our temples. And the Maharaj was very popular and the devotees were also very surprised. They were not expecting him to visit the temple. It was a little surprising that he just paid a visit, and they were very happy that he has come to give an association. So he came to the temple and he came into the temple hall, and all the devotees were sitting there. It was evening time and the Bhagavad Gita lecture had ended, the Kirtan had ended, and devotees were just doing some japa. Some devotees were walking and doing japa, some devotees were sitting and doing japa in the small temple hall. And in the evening time, suddenly this Maharaj walks inside, this sannyasi, this Swamiji walks inside. He was one of the sannyasis in our movement. He walks inside, and as soon as the devotees see him, clad in saffron, sannyasi, and with his sannyas danda, it just commands respect. So spontaneously, all the devotees in the temple hall, they stood up to honor the sannyasi and they offered him Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam Maharaj, Jai Maharaj. Everyone offered obeisances to Maharaj. Now again, the darshan was open. The deities are giving darshan, and in front of the deities, all these devotees are offering their Dandavat Pranam to this sannyasi. So sannyasi got really upset. He said, haven't you all read Nectar of Devotion? Don't you all read Srila Prabhupada's books? In Nectar of Devotion, there are 64 seva aparads that are mentioned. So many seva aparads are mentioned there. Don't you read? One of the aparads is to offer obeisances to someone in front of the deities. In front of the deities, you should not offer obeisances to others. It is an offense to the deities. The deities are like the king. When they are giving darshan, when they are present here, don't offer respect to somebody else. Offer dandavats to Krishna. Don't offer dandavats to me. This is nonsense. It's because you are not reading Prabhupada's books. All of you have committed a aparad to the deities. He chastised them. He raised his voice. It was really heavy on those poor little devotees who very innocently had offered the respect spontaneously to this visiting sannyasi. Now some devotees were very new. They had just become devotees and they were petrified. Wow, the sannyasi really got angry, he really got upset. Did we do such a big mistake offering him respects? So the devotees were really scared and some of them were really hurt by the sannyasi's behavior. So one of the devotees who was present there at that time, he was sharing his reflections. He was saying, at that time I was thinking that yes, indeed, in Nectar of Devotion it is mentioned that one should not offer obeisances to somebody else in front of the deities. It's an offense. But among those list of offenses, seva aparads, there is also offense. It is to get angry in front of the deities. It is an offense to raise one's voice in front of the deities. And it is an offense to chastise and correct someone in front of the deities. Hare Krishna. So this devotee who was present there, he was telling, just think. So now the devotees innocently, out of respect, somehow they committed one little offense of offering obeisances to a Vaishnava in front of the deities. Not such a big offense. I'm sure the deities will not mind it. This Vaishnava is visiting, he's coming after a long time, and devotees were a little surprised. They wanted to honor him. Now, is that a bigger offense than committing these three offenses? Becoming angry at someone in front of the deities, raising one's voice in front of the deities, and chastising somebody in front of the deities. We should never do that. So to counteract that one offense, this sannyasi committed three offenses against the deities. Hare Krishna. Just think. So therefore, we have to develop maturity and intelligence. How to balance the different levels of dharmas. How to balance different etiquettes. There are different etiquettes. It's dynamic because we are a society of devotees and we are interacting with each other. There are different dynamics and we have to develop the maturity. And we need Shiksha Gurus to guide us how to make the right choices. Because by making right choices, we will progress on the path of bhakti. We will make advancement, spiritual advancement. And if we make wrong choices, we will end up committing offenses and damaging our own spiritual life and also disturbing the consciousness of other devotees who look up to us. So therefore, proper training is essential. So with that, we will go to verse number 9. What is the time? Let me see. We have only 4 minutes. So we will take, I wanted to cover till verse number 11. Let's see. Let's go to verse number 9. Nanda Maharaj continues to speak to Shri Krishna. Verse number 9. Nanda Baba says, Tam tatavayam annecha varmucham patimishwaram dravyastad retasa siddhair yajante kratubhir narah. Tam, him, tat, my dear son, vayam, we, anye, others, cha, also, vaham mucham, of the clouds, patim, the master, ishwaram, the very powerful controller, dravyai, with various items, tad retasa, by his liquid discharge, siddhai, produced, yajante, they worship, kratubhi, by fire sacrifices, naraha, men. Translation: not only we, my dear son, but also many other men worship Indra, the Lord and Master of the rain-giving clouds. We offer him grain and other paraphernalia of worship, produced through his own discharge in the form of rain. Purport: Nanda Maharaj patiently tried to explain the facts of life to Krishna, his young child. But in fact, Nanda Baba and all the residents of Vrindavan would learn an astonishing lesson as explained later in this chapter. So now let's see to verse number 9 what our acharyas have to say. Sanatan Goswami first. Sanatan Goswami says that Nanda Baba addresses Krishna as Tat in this verse. Addresses Krishna as Tat due to his love and affection for Shri Krishna and the intimacy that they share. And why Nanda Maharaj is addressing him with such intimacy, affection, by using the very affectionate address, Tat. Why? So that Krishna will have faith in Nanda Maharaj's words, what Nanda Maharaj is about to say. Then Jiva Goswami, he comments about a conversation that is happening between Nanda Baba and Krishna, a hidden conversation. So let's see. So here, Nanda Baba is saying, my dear Krishna, it is not just us, but there are so many other people all over the country who are observing this Indra Puja. It's not just us. There are many others who worship Indra. Krishna says in response, but why are you worshipping Indra? It is the one who draws up water from the oceans and creates the clouds. It is the sun that is evaporating water from the oceans and creating these clouds. Why worship Indra? Krishna is saying. So Jiva Goswami says, then Nanda Baba responds to that argument of Krishna by saying, but Indra is the lord of the clouds. Yes, sun is evaporating water from the ocean and creating clouds. You are right, Krishna. Very good point for a 7-year-old boy. Very good. But listen, Indra is the master of the clouds. Then Krishna says, but Baba, Indra may be the god of the clouds, but demigod worship is not authorized by Shastra. Demigod worship is not good, not advisable. Why are you doing demigod worship? Nanda Baba says, Are Kanha, Indra is not just a demigod. Indra is the king of demigods. So in response to that, Krishna says, all right, Baba, Indra may be the king of the demigods, but still he is not the supreme lord. Why are you calling him Bhagwan? He is not Bhagwan. Lord Narayan is Bhagwan. Then Nanda Baba says, all right, you're right, you're correct. We are also Vaishnavas. We worship Lord Vishnu. But if we don't worship Indra, then we will be guilty of a fault. And what is that fault? Ingratitude. Ingratitude. Because Indra is sending all these clouds, he's sending the rains. Because of rains, the grains are growing, the grass is growing. Your little cows and calves, they are eating that grass and they are surviving. We are eating the grains. Everything is happening because of Indra. So even though he's not Supreme Lord, but still he's doing so much for us by sending rains in a timely fashion. The least we can do is be grateful to Indra. So Krishna, please now, let me perform this puja. That is the commentary of Jiva Goswami. Now let's go to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that here Nanda Baba is giving two reasons to Krishna why they must worship Indradev. The first reason is, Chakravarti Path says, by addressing little Krishna as Tat, Nanda Baba is saying, my dear son, my dear Tat, I got you as my son. Tat means my dear son. So Nanda Baba is saying, my dear son Krishna, are you are my son because of Indra. Hey, what? Nanda Baba says, yes, Kanha, you are my son because of this Indradev. Krishna says, how is that? So Nanda Baba explains that actually Indra sends rain, and all the souls who have to take birth on this earth planet as souls covered by their subtle bodies, they fall with the rain and then they enter different fruits and grains. And when men consume those fruits and grains, that particular Jivatma who is supposed to take birth from that father will enter the body of the father and then go into the semen, and as a seed will enter the body of the woman and then will grow in the womb of the woman. So you are my son. That means Indra had sent you down through his rain and I ate you as grains or as fruits, and then you went to my Yashoda's womb and you grew and took birth. So all the souls are sent down through the discharge of Indra, through the divine celestial semen of Indra, which is the clouds, because clouds are his own expansion, Indra's expansions. So therefore, because you are my son, I have to be grateful to Indra, who sent you as my son. Such a beautiful explanation Nanda Baba gives. So there's the first reason why we should worship Indra, because you are my son, my dear Tat, because of Indra. Second reason, this is also very beautiful. Chakravarti Path is explaining that our Nanda Baba is telling Krishna that we worship Indra with materials which Indra only has produced, like the grains, because grains are produced by rains and Indra is Parjanya, Indra is rain. So therefore Indra is giving these grains and we are offering these grains which Indra only has produced back to Indra. in this Indra Puja. And this is a bona fide process. So even if this is a Laukik process, it's a local custom, but this is bona fide. Indirectly, it is mentioned in Shastra. How? Because see, my dear Krishna, how do you worship Ganga? Ganga Puja also, you take Ganga water and you offer it back to Ganga. Right? Similarly, we are taking Indra's grains. He is the king of the Devatas. We are taking Indra's grains, which he has given us, and we are offering them back to Indra. Indra's grains being offered back to Indra, just like Ganga Puja, Ganga water back to Ganga. So Nanda Baba is justifying to Krishna why this Indra Puja should be performed and how it is bona fide. So now I wanted to cover two more verses, verse number 10 and 11, because then Nanda Baba will stop speaking and then Shukdev Goswami and Krishna will start speaking. But we will pause here because it is late. It is 8:35. So I will pause here and we will continue from verse number 10 next Saturday, my dear friends. So I will pause here. Are there any corrections, questions or comments? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So if anyone has any question, you can please use the raise hand option. Ram Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandot Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So
Hare Krishna, Ram Kumar Prabhu, Dandot Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhu.
Very wonderful session, Prabhuji. So much of contents. Even I will have to listen the video again to cover up a few things. And so thank you so very much for the wonderful session. Prabhuji, I was just wondering, you are saying that in the commentary by Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur Maharaj. So this is not question, just for clarification. Where from we can get, where from we can explore ourselves, Prabhuji? Did you all comment?
I will show you. His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, he has translated. I will show you one second.
Sure, please.
When I came to India for Kartik Yatra, I saw these books and I wanted to buy them, but they're very heavy. So therefore, I came here and I had to order them from Ras Bihari Lal and Sons. They delivered nicely, America, no problem. So there are these three sets, Prabhu, of books. First is Brihad Vaishnava Toshani by Sanatan Goswami. This Bhanu Maharaj is translated. Second is this Laghu Vaishnava Toshani of Jiva Goswami.
Okay.
And third is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Sarartha Darshani.
Okay, nice, Prabhuji. So,
And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary is on all the 12 cantos, whereas Jiva Goswami and Sanatan Goswami's commentaries, the Vaishnava Toshanis, they are only on the 10th canto.
okay. So,
Sri Goswami also is the original commentator on the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, all 12 cantos, but his commentary is not yet translated into English from Sanskrit. But great, expert devotees in our movement, like Hari Parshad Prabhu, Amarinda Prabhu, they know Sanskrit, so they can read the commentary and they can do it. And of course, Srila Prabhupada and our Gopi Pranadhan Prabhu, who has translated the remaining 10th canto, 11th and 12th canto, they include Sridhar Swami's important comments in their purports, like that. So this is how I'm preparing, Prabhu, from these three books, thanks to Bhanu Maharaj.
yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, these are different volumes wise. I did not catch up you explained what.
Yeah. See here, different full volumes are there.
Okay, so
You see, these are all these different volumes
got it.
of these same books. So Brihad Toshni is, I think, 4 volumes. Vaishnava Laghu Toshni is also 4 volumes, and Chakravarti Paths is many volumes. I think 9 volumes.
Yeah, nice. So first, for our task is to first understand better way Prabhupada commentary, then we can explore Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yes, and the essence from these commentaries, Srila Prabhupada has given in his purports.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
plus, Srila Prabhupada has added his own realizations to that, to the Bhaktivedanta purports. So Prabhupada incorporates commentaries of Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Vallabhacharya, and other commentators also. Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami. Srila Prabhupada incorporates the key points from all these commentators.
Nice, Prabhu. Thank you so very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Vatsala Mataji, please. Vatsala Mataji. Okay. Kasturi Manjari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Adigadadar Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank
Hare
you very much for beautifully incorporating the commentaries of our acharyas. So hearing the commentaries, actually, it gives a little bit of a glimpse of the heart of these acharyas, how they always are absorbed so much and they are always thinking of Krishna and giving us these wonderful commentaries. So it gives us a glimpse that what actually the consciousness is, so what that absorption should be. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for taking this time to read from the commentaries.
Thank you very much.
Prabhu, I have a question about this offering obeisances to sannyasis in front of the deities. So I am not sure, like, even though it's one of the 64 items, one of the not to do, but generally whenever there is a class and there is a sannyasi coming, we always offer obeisances to the sannyasi. And also, I'm just thinking that when we are even offering obeisances to the deities, we offer the pranam mantra of our spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada before we offer the pranam mantra of the deities. So I always feel confused about this item. So please tell what are we supposed to do?
Right. So we have to see the intention behind the rule. The rule is that when the deities are given darshan, we should not offer obeisances to another person, because that person is Jiva Tattva, whereas the deity is Krishna Tattva, Vishnu Tattva. So when the deities are giving darshan, we have to be focused on the deities. Offering obeisances to our spiritual superiors, we can do outside or inside when the darshan is closed. But in front of the deities, the etiquette is that the deity should be the focus of attention, focus of respect, focus of honor. That is the principle. Therefore, we can offer obeisances to the senior devotees, to the sannyasis, when the darshan is closed. But if we are seeing them for the first time that day, they come and we are seeing them for the first time that day, we should go ahead and offer them our respects, or at least we should offer them with folded hands. Kritanjali, we should bring our hands together, bow down, bow our head down. That is also considered to be obeisances. And mentally, we should offer our obeisances at their lotus feet. That can also be done. So like that, we have to balance. And of course, Krishna will be happy if we offer respect to Krishna's great devotees. Because in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Krishna tells Uddhav in the 11th canto, Mad Bhakta Puja Abhyadika. The worship of my devotee is more valuable. Also in the Adi Puran, Shri Krishna tells Arjun, Ye me bhakta jana partha name bhakta te jana mad bhaktanam che bhaktas te me bhaktottama mata. Those who are my devotees are not my devotees, but those who are devotees of my devotees, they are my real devotees. So like that we can reconcile. So just to summarize, as far as possible, we should offer them obeisances before the darshan open. For example, we go for Mangal Aarti. Darshan is still closed and we see sannyasis, senior devotees, offer them obeisances before the darshan opens. So you have already offered them obeisances. And when we come to the temple, first we vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. We offer obeisances to all the devotees. When we come to the temple, we offer obeisances, we offer to all the devotees like that. So then it is done. We have already offered. and then you can offer them before the darshan opens. When the darshan opens, we should preferably be focused on the deities. We can offer them mentally with our head bowed and hands together. That is also considered as a proper obeisances only, no problem. And if we are outside, then of course we should offer obeisances, no problem. If we are inside and darshan is closed, no problem, because darshan is closed. Is that helpful? This applies only when the darshan is going on. The deities are giving darshan.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
But if we have to make a mistake, then it is better to make a mistake of offering respects to the Vaishnavas.
Yes.
Rather than not offering, because then what happens? Suppose somebody comes and I don't offer obeisances. No, I have to be focused on Krishna only. I will not offer obeisances to anybody here. And first time I'm seeing that day, the Vaishnava, I don't offer obeisances. I just don't offer obeisances. What happens is, other devotees are watching me. So they may take a wrong message that I am being disrespectful to that devotee. That's one. Secondly, I may become implicated in not offering respects to a Vaishnava, because Vaishnava Nabhinandati is one of the 6 Vaishnava Aparadhas also. To not offer respect. To fail to offer respect to a Vaishnava when you see the Vaishnava. And secondly, there's also a chance that the senior Vaishnava who has come may feel slighted, or may feel little neglected. So we have to be very careful. It is better to make a mistake on the side of offering more respect. No problem. Krishna is not like a computer machine, or Krishna is not an algorithm. In front of me, you offer obeisance to somebody else, that's an offense to me. Krishna is not like that. Krishna is a person. Krishna feels very happy when we offer respects to the devotees. So this rule is there in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami mentions this rule from the Shastra to explain a principle that we have to be focused when the deities are giving darshan. We cannot be frivolous, or we cannot get distracted away from the deities. For example, we are taking darshan of the deities and some big VIP industrialist comes into the temple. Oh, we are not going to just neglect the deities and start looking at the industrialists or start offering obeisances. We can receive. Best is to put the hands together and bow the head down. That is considered to be a obeisance according to Shastra, Kritanjali. So we can do that. Is that helpful, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Very much, very clear now. And also, I'm thinking of this pastime, Niketan Ramadas in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There, then, even though that Brahmana was like, but it's the intention, it's the heart, as you mentioned. That offering obeisances now, what is the heart, what is the intention that I am capturing, and also to balance, as you said, that meaning we offer respect and we also pay attention to the deity darshan also at the same time.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Vatsala Mataji. I think she has some issue with the audio, but Govinda Shyam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Same question what Mataji asked, I'll just put it in a different way. So every time, like let's say I'm going to the temple and the deity's curtains is open, so we always see the customary that we pay obeisances to the devotees first, and then we go to Srila Prabhupada, pay obeisances, and then we pay the obeisances to the Lordship. So is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. That is the correct way. First we offer obeisances to the Guru, and then we offer obeisances to Krishna. Because we approach Krishna through the Guru. Krishna will not receive our namaskar, our obeisances, unless we go through the Guru. So we always offer obeisances to the assembled devotees, to Guru Maharaj, to Srila Prabhupada, who is the Guru for every one of us, and then we offer obeisances to Krishna. And even on Krishna's altar, there is Prabhupada. There is the whole parampara. There are 6 Goswamis. So we offer them obeisances. Yes, Prabhu.
Oh. So it's okay. All right.
Yeah. This rule is, which I mentioned, that one should not offer obeisances to other people in front of the deities. It is mainly meant so that when Krishna is giving darshan, Krishna is not neglected. Krishna is not neglected, because then just imagine, we should not become very frivolous in front of the deities. Therefore, all these rules are there that don't circumambulate anybody in front of the deities. Therefore, even when Tulsi Maharani has to be circumambulated, darshan is closed and then we circumambulate Tulsi Maharani, because Tulsi Maharani is Vrinda Devi. So we should not even circumambulate Vrinda Devi in front of Krishna. It's an offense.
So even at home also?
I asked this question to Mukunda Prabhu, that at home what to do. So Mukunda Prabhu said that standards at home are different, and you have to see time, place and circumstances. At home it is okay, because it may not be possible at home to close the darshan every time when you circumambulate Tulsi Maharani. So that is okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Parima Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I just had a question about unintentional offenses. Sometimes it's not that we want to commit an offense. We do it unintentionally due to the lack of knowledge or due to forgetfulness. And sometimes we don't even know what offense we committed. And sometimes there are some people who take many things very offensively. Anything you do, they take it in the offensive sense or the wrong sense. So it is very, very tricky to know what is an offense and what is not an offense. Because some time back, I just read about Sanatan Goswami, and when Babaji had come to meet Sanatan Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami was engrossed in Krishna Leela, and he did not take notice of that Babaji, and he felt offended. I believe you must be knowing that. So such unintentional Vaishnava aparadhs, I mean, how to avoid them and how to know that we have done something. It's very tricky. So I would like your comments and your input on this matter. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So Vaishnava Aparadh is very clearly defined in the Shastra. It is mentioned in Skanda Puran by Markandeya Rishi what exactly is Vaishnava Aparadh. The definition of Vaishnava Aparadh is given. There are 6 activities which constitute Vaishnava Aparadh. Hanti nindati vai dveshti Vaishnava nabhinandati krudyate yatino harsham darshane patanani shat. There are 6 activities which constitute Vaishnava Aparadh. First is Hanti, to kill a devotee, physical violence against a devotee, to beat a devotee, Vaishnava Aparadh. First, Hanti. Second is Nindati, to criticize a devotee. To find faults and criticize a devotee is a Vaishnava Aparadh. We should never criticize devotees. So Hanti, Nindati. Why Dveshti? Dvesh means to have inimical feelings towards a devotee, to have envious feelings towards a devotee, to have ill feelings towards another devotee. So to have harbor those inimical ill feelings towards any Vaishnava is a Vaishnava Aparadh. Hanti nindati vai dveshti. Vaishnava nabhinandati. To fail to honor a Vaishnava, fail to offer respects to a Vaishnava, or to displease a Vaishnava. To displease a Vaishnava, that is a Vaishnava Aparadh. For example, if somebody comes to me for a donation, I like to give this example because I have seen Vaishnava Aparadh being committed when somebody approaches you for something. When the need is theirs, when they need us and they come to us, sometimes we can get very proud. So when somebody solicits us, Janmashtami is coming and they say, Prabhu, please, hey, don't you know, man, this is COVID-19. People are losing jobs. My salary has been cut. People are being furloughed. Why are you asking me for donation? Please don't ask me for donation. Or we just don't pick their call. We just neglect them, or we don't answer them, So all that constitutes Vaishnava Nabhinandati, to just displease a Vaishnava, to break the heart of a Vaishnava. That same no can be told in a Vaishnava way. Prabhu, I'm sorry. I know it is very important to donate to Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. Krishna has given me everything. But Prabhu, right now I have financial commitments and I don't have so much money. I'm not able to give, Prabhu. Please forgive me. So that same message can be, that same no can be said in a proper way. So Vaishnava Nabhinandati. Then next is, fifth is Krudyate, to become angry at a devotee. To have anger towards a devotee. To yell and scream at a devotee, to get angry. Krudyate. That is, to become angry with a devotee is a Vaishnava Aparadha. Krudyate and Yatino Harsham Darshane. And when we have darshan of a devotee, to experience no joy. I'm seeing the beautiful face of Mukta Sangha Prabhu there. I'm seeing Ram Kumar Prabhu. Very nicely, they are wearing nice kurta. They are wearing, I can see Gopi Chandan Tilak on their face. They are looking attentively. They are, So when we see a devotee with their Kanthimala, their Tilak, we should feel happy. Hare Krishna, here is a Vaishnava. But if we don't feel any joy, we don't feel anything when we see a Vaishnava, then that is also Vaishnava Aparadha. So these 6 activities constitute Vaishnava Aparadha. So once this is clear, now we know what is the definition of Vaishnava. So Vaishnava Aparadha is not just some whimsical concept. Oh, you have done Vaishnava Aparadha, you have done this. No. The Shastra gives a proper definition. Hanti nindati vai dveshti Vaishnava nabhinandati krudyate yatino harsham darshane patanani shat. And if we do this 6 types of Vaishnava Aparadha, patane, we will definitely fall down from our spiritual standing. We will have a spiritual fall down undoubtedly. There is no treatment for Vaishnava Aparadha.
But Prabhu,
So now that we understand what is Vaishnava Aparadha, let us go to Vaishnava Aparadha committed unintentionally. The pastime that you mentioned, that Babaji was called Krishna Das, and he used to walk with a limp, and he came to Sanatan Goswami and spoke to Sanatan Goswami. Then he asked Sanatan Goswami, where is your brother Rupa Goswami? I want to meet him also. So Sanatan Goswami told him, go to Imlital. There you will see Rupa Goswami doing his bhajan. So this Krishnadas Babaji, he goes to take darshan of Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami is chanting japa, and internally he is having Krishna Leela Spurti. He is having darshan of Radha and Krishna, having a very nice, funny pastime. We don't have time to get into that pastime, but he is visualizing that pastime in his samadhi, and he's smiling and laughing. And as soon as this Babaji, who is walking with a limp, he comes in front of Rupa Goswami, he sees Rupa Goswami is laughing. So he thinks that Rupa Goswami is laughing at me. He becomes very displeased and he goes away. And as soon as he goes away, displeased, Vaishnava Nabhinandati. As soon as he goes displeased, Rupa Goswami's samadhi breaks. His spurti goes away. And he tries to enter that Leela again, Leela of Radha and Krishna, but he's not able to enter. So he understands, definitely I must have committed some aparadha. So he goes to Sanatan Goswami to ask, what wrong did I do? Can you help me? I lost my samadhi. I lost my spurti, the spiritual realization. And there Sanatan Goswami says that yes, that Krishna Das had come to see you. He came to me crying that you laughed at him. Here he's sitting. I told him it is not possible. Rupa Goswami must not be laughing at you, at your limp. There was something else going on. See, now here is Krishna Das. Here you are Rupa Goswami. Please embrace each other. So both of them embrace each other. And Rupa Goswami begs forgiveness. And Krishna Das Babaji begs forgiveness from Rupa Goswami that I judged you. I thought that you were laughing at me when you were not laughing at me. So I made an offense to you. I am sorry. So both of them were falling at each other's feet. And in this way, both of them were cleansed of their Vaishnava Aparadha. So to answer your question, Mataji, if some Vaishnava Aparadha is committed genuinely unknowingly, because sometimes we commit Vaishnava Aparadha and we pretend as if it happened unknowingly, being just passively aggressive. No, but it is genuinely unknowingly, like in the case of Rupa Goswami. If that happens, then if we are sincere, Krishna will bring us to a point of reharmony or reconciliation, and it will be cleansed, we will be protected. But if we do it knowingly, then the consequences are very, very severe, Mataji. Our process is very, very powerful. Chanting minimum 16 rounds every day, doing Tulsi Puja, Tulsi Pradakshana, Guru Ashtakam in Brahma Murta, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, offering obeisances to the deities. It is a super powerful process. why we are not getting Krishna Prem? Why we are not developing attachment to Krishna? There is only one reason, and that is Vaishnava Aparadha. Vaishnava Aparadha. So we have to be very, very careful of these 6 items. It is there in Skanda Purana. If we do the 6 items, pata nahi, we will fall down. There is no other way. We will not get taste in Krishna consciousness. We will suffer spiritually. So we have to be very careful.
One last thing. Suppose, we have our mind is like a mad monkey. Suppose we are about to commit and immediately we take charge of ourselves. If we control ourselves, even then it is considered an offense?
No, it is not considered offense, because this is proof is there in Chaitanya Bhagavat of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. When Sachi Mata's older son Vishwarup took sannyas and went away, he was associating very intimately with Advaita Acharya, and then suddenly he took sannyas and went away. So Sachi Mata thought that my son Vishwarup took sannyas because of this Advaita, because he's constantly associating with him, sitting in his house reading Bhagavatam all day, and now he has left me and taken sannyas. Advaita Prabhu is responsible. She thought like that, but she immediately shunned away that thought. She just removed that thought from her mind. She said, no, that will be Vaishnava Aparadha. I cannot think of Advaita Prabhu like that. It is not good. So she immediately corrected herself, like you said. She immediately held herself back. So there was no Vaishnava Aparadha. But then, few years later, when Nimai also started associating with Advaita Prabhu too much, she became fearful that now my Nimai will also take sannyas. And that's when she spoke that he has taken away one son already. I have lost my husband. Now all I have is this Nimai, my dear Nimai. And now Nimai also is following in the footsteps of Vishwarup. He is spending all day with Advaita Prabhu. And I'm afraid he will also take sannyas. This Advaita, his name is Advaita, non-dual, non-duplicious. But actually he is Dvaita, he is duplicious. He pretends to be a family friend, but he is going to take away my son, my second son also. When she entertained that thought and she spoke like that to herself, it became a very serious Vaishnava Aparadha. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not give her Krishna Prem until she begged forgiveness from Advaita Prabhu in front of everybody and took the dust from the lotus feet of Advaita Prabhu on her head. See the difference. First time it was not a Vaishnava Aparadha, but second time it became Vaishnava Aparadha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for clarifying my doubts. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The simplest way is every day before japa, we should pray to Krishna, give me sweet, loving feelings for all the devotees. Please help me have loving, intimate relationship with the devotees, and I never want to commit Vaishnava Aparadha. We must say this prayer without fail every day before starting japa. Please give me love for the devotees. Please give me love for you, my dear Krishna. That is my prayer. I don't want to harbor ill feelings for anybody. If you pray like that, Krishna will protect us. Krishna will protect us. My spiritual master, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, says something very beautiful. I like to quote this very often. He says, if we love Krishna, the devotees will love us. If we love Krishna, the devotees will love us. If we love the devotees, then Krishna will love us.
Yes. Thank you so
Right.
much. Thank you
Hare
very much. Dandavat. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's already 9. Is that okay? Another question, or is it? We'll end.
If it is okay, Prabhu, we can take them next time.
That's
Is that okay?
okay. So again, thank you. There are 2 questions lined up, but we'll take that next week. So thank you again, Prabhu. Thank you for wonderful session and a very fruitful session. So many information. And also I thank all the devotees who have joined from Atlanta, from other places, and Vinchalam. Thank you again, all of us. So next week, same time, we will meet at 7:30 next Saturday, session 5. And this session it will be uploaded on YouTube channel, Krishna Bhakti Center. If you want to visit, I'll be uploading by tomorrow, probably, if I get a chance. Thank you again. Let me offer obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees who are just like the desire trees, who can fulfill all desires and are full of conditioned souls. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev patitanam pavane.
Shri Krishna
Shri Namo Namo.
Prabhu ki Jai.
All glories to all of you.
Vaishnava Vrinda.
Thank you,
Or-
Muktasanga Prabhu, for engaging me in your service.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai Srila
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.